Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Welcome, everyone, and we would like to stand and say the pledge at this time. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just a reminder to sign in for any of our visitors or guests that we have. First on our agenda tonight, we have our facilities and construction update. And first on the list is our high school renovation updates.
Peter, I thought if you didn't care, just to maybe give a little update of where we're at the high school. I know we've got started, and I know you was out and about today.
Yeah, we were up there today taking a look around. The project is well underway. As you all know, the first phase of the project all right, the first phase of the project is up at the baseball and softball venues, and they are moving along at quite a good clip there with construction. Today I took some photographs of the footings of almost all 6 of the buildings, right? So I saw them working on stem walls on the softball field, which is really great to see the buildings coming out of the ground. There's a lot of site work going on down at softball as well, sort of carving back the hillsides there to make room for access around. And the other area where they've done some work is at the tennis court renovations. That's where you've seen some additional construction work going on there. What you don't see is a lot of shop drawing activity, right, where the contractors are submitting all of their material submittals for us to review. And so there's a lot of that going on behind scenes to make sure that all of the materials that are being ordered for the project are the materials that were specified. We've had one progress meeting, and another one comes up in another couple weeks, and the project is progressing well at this time. I didn't know if you wanted me to touch on anything specific related to the meeting today, but I think if you all have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
I do know that they've got a great start up there on baseball, softball. I see no issues right now moving forward. They've seen no issues early on.
No, and it's been good weather.
We've got just a couple of requests out that we're trying to nail down in terms of some utility issues, but I think other than that, we're in good shape, and those should be solved sometime hopefully next week or moving forward. And don't see any reason why we should have any type of holdup as it is right now.
Right.
So I don't know. We didn't have an ATC update tonight, but I can tell you that we're going to be closing out a bunch of those contracts this coming meeting on the 23rd. And again, for anybody that may be watching, there is not a board meeting next week. It's been moved to September 23rd. And Rebecca, if you don't care, we've already got a possible agenda pretty much together. Let's go ahead and post it online tomorrow. That way people can start seeing it. Just know that the only thing on the agenda for the 23rd that's not really finalized right now are the construction projects. But we'll close out a bunch of the ATC projects. There's several little things that's being done. I was tickled to death to see those letters go up on that pedway.
That is just fantastic. That looks great.
That was a great move by you guys to sort of do a 180 on that and get it out there on the windows. And it looks very, very good. We have received multiple good compliments, and in a time when it seems like there's always a lot of negativity, that has been a bright spot. It's been talked about a lot. So if y'all don't have any questions, we can move on to our future projects. Right. And let me add one thing. The ESSER projects at West Irvine and at the district-wide on the bipolar ionization units, as reported last time, all bipolar ionization units are up and running. So that's a good thing. And the remaining unit at West Irvine should be done, I think it was done today.
Today is when I was expecting
Today
it.
was when it was supposed to be done, the last repair. They're working on the filter boxes, which has nothing to do with the air quality. It's just a revamp of those.
Yes.
So those projects are done. And I think that may be why you're seeing, in terms of air quality, in terms of number of cases and those types of things, is once we've got in and got things under control. You know, one case is too many, but we're not sitting here having a ton of issues either. So just throw that in there for good measure so you all will know.
Okay. So, talking in regards to future projects, we need to approve a BG1.
So the first one listed on here is for the high school HVAC controls project. It's my understanding this will be an ESSER 3 project. And the BG1 that was forwarded to you shows a construction cost, as I mentioned last time, at about $400,000 and a total project cost coming in around $462,500. On the funding side of the BG1, that is all listed as ESSER 3 funds. That's on page 4. On page 3, I'm sorry.
And of course, this is all part of the high school project. This is something that could be pulled out to help pay for that project, as you know, with the cost overruns on the delay. This is for the controls.
Yes.
And
So can you explain to people what that means?
what that means is that the entire system will be under controls.
The
of
heating and
individual-
air.
Yes.
Heating and air.
I've had
Mr.
several
Reese-
people ask me questions about that.
Mr. Reese, who is our maintenance director and does all of our HVAC work, will actually be able to pull that building up on his computer, and he has total control of the temperatures in the classrooms. He has total control of the airflow in the building. And what that does is it does promote energy savings, because you do not have some classrooms that are 65 and some classrooms that are 80. They're set at standard set rates. Individual classrooms, they'll have the ability to move their
There's a
classroom
range.
up or down within a certain range,
Okay.
but he has total control of that entire building.
That was the question that was presented to me, was if I'm in a classroom, am I able to control the temperature at all?
Yes, they
Yes.
do have a range of about 3 degrees, I believe, normally is
yeah.
what their range is.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a completely new building automation system.
But by putting everything
That
under one
integrates the
control, in the long run, it will save money,
It
because
absolutely has been proven to produce
Immediately.
energy savings. Yeah.
It will save thousands of dollars in the first year.
I just had a few people that
Mm-hmm.
asked me questions about it. I wanted to make sure that that was clarified
Okay.
for everyone to understand.
And just so you'll know, that was part of the West Urban project that we just got through doing to get the control system back up and running in that building. So technically, Mr. Reese can sit in his office, and he can control all that. He'll get an alert if the classroom is too hot, so he'll know if there's a problem.
Can West Urban adjust theirs 3 degrees in each
Yes,
classroom?
they're allowed to
Okay.
adjust as
Because they
well.
used to not be able to do it all,
They're supposed to be able to adjust them by a certain range on
because
those
the
thermostats.
thermostats were locked down.
So hopefully, well, you're gonna hear from some of them that they are locked down, because you're gonna have somebody wanna take it to 65 degrees.
Yeah.
Well, these
It's not
were
gonna let you
actually
do that.
plastic boxes over them with locks.
Well, no, that was probably installed by the district at some point.
That was that way.
Probably didn't
Take my word
come
for
with
it.
the Original, that's probably not original to those thermostats. But it does allow for energy savings, and of course, we don't want it to be We don't want to be a hot box, but we also don't want somebody
Yeah, hot
freezing
box
somebody to
either.
death, and we don't want somebody burning somebody up. The other thing that it allows you to do is that at 5 o'clock, that building shuts down. You know, so Mr. Reese can override it. If you've got an event in the auditorium, you turn that unit, that section of the building off,
Mhm.
and it runs while the other parts of that
Okay,
building's
good.
off. And that's
So
how
it's
you
zoned.
control and gain, it's by the zones, and that's how you gain energy savings. Right now, there's only one portion of that high school building that was under controls, and that's the new portion where the lunchroom's at. Now the entire building.
Good.
So my recommendation is to approve this BG1, and we'll get it done. We've got to get our ESSER, we've got to get some ESSER documentation budget in, and you approve it at the next board meeting. So we'll get this in and get it going, if you all will give it approved.
So you want to do these individually,
Yes.
all three of
They
them?
need individual votes.
Okay, so I need a motion to approve the high school HVAC ESSER 3 project.
Make a motion.
Sheila Samples makes a motion. Do I have a second? Tammy Hardy makes a second. Any discussion? I'd like to call for a vote at this time. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Great, so the next one on the list is the high school sanitary line replacement, ESSER project. And this is a project that, the scope of this work is to replace a sanitary line at the existing high school facility that is rather, it's buried very deep in front of the building, and it's been causing problems for the district. It was originally part of the scope of the high school renovation project, but ESSER funds are a great way to pay for this type of work, which are related to indoor air quality of the school. The total construction cost on this one is $130,000, and the project cost is $159,925. And again, you'll notice the funding is listed as all ESSER 3.
And this runs in the front yard at the high school
It
and
is
under
in- it
the
is
front
in-
driveway?
It's the main issue is sort of right in front of the gym lobby area, right there, and it runs from in front of there and then over to some work that they're doing as part of the new renovation of the football field, sort of where you enter into the football field. And then on the other side of the track, about halfway down near 89, there's some additional sanitary line that will be replaced as part of this project.
And again, the reason why this was split out, again, was because of the high cost that we had on the high school project. And it was an easy pull out, quite honestly, to pull out and do it this way. And of course, by going ahead and using ESSER funds, you're also saving the 25 years worth of interest as well on that.
Correct.
So it's a good use of those funds, allowable use. My recommendation is that we go ahead and approve this project as well.
And this will be done during what time? It'll start right away, or?
No, I think because of where it's located, and it will need to be coordinated with the
football
construction
renovation.
manager and the football field
That's what I
renovation.
thought.
But most importantly, to keep traffic flow around the school working, and I'm assuming this work will be done in the summer. So
In
I'm
the
expecting
summer.
it would happen next summer.
Okay.
That makes sense.
All right, so you're recommending,
Recommendation is to
Okay.
approve the BG1.
okay. I'd like to call for a motion to approve the BG1 for the high school sewer line replacement project, which is ESSER 3 project.
I'll make a motion.
Tammy Hardy makes a motion. Do we have a second? Carrie Smallwood makes a second. I'd like to call for a vote at this time. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. So moving right along to the West Irvine parking lot.
All right, so this project scope, this is actually not an ESSER 3 funded project, right? So this is, the scope is about 76 additional parking spaces in the lower area just off of the parking lot in front of West Irvine. that it includes connecting sidewalks and stairs up to the main entrance. So it is a really nice sized parking lot added to West Irvine to help the circulation and vehicular parking and particular parking needs at the school. The total construction cost is $370,000 on the BG1. Again, that is a cost opinion. BG1 is basically an estimate, and including getting a site survey and special inspections and other things with the project, the total project cost comes out to $449,850.
You all saw this last time in terms of, and everybody knows where this goes. Of course, this was something that was in the original plans at West Irvine and had to be cut due to a lack of funding. And now we've been able to, quite honestly, because of the nickel, we've been, it's allowed us to have additional capital outlay resources that we did not have before. For instance, the first 2 years of the nickel was put into capital outlay because we didn't have bond payments. There was no project approved.
Right.
So that money was going into basically this savings account. We made the promise to the public that this money would be spent on facilities. Doesn't pay my salary, doesn't pay anybody else's salary in the district, doesn't buy any other thing, but it's meant specifically for facility construction. So really, it's part of that promise to use all funds for facilities. This is much needed, as everybody knows, and as we have talked before, just so you all have an update, right now we've got approximately a little bit over $1.1 million in capital outlay cash. Now that's not including another $500,000 that we'll have during this year. So I also know there's always been that concern, we don't want to leave everything or be completely broke. So in doing this would be the first use of that money, $450,000 of it to do this parking lot. And pretty much at that point in time, that facility is done. Everything on that site is complete as well. So my recommendation, we've been talking about it for 5 years. It started several years ago when Mr. Beckley was able to get a lot of the gravel and stuff that was donated by Hinkle Contracting. So now we can finish that parking lot out. So my recommendation is to approve the BG1.
I had a couple of people that asked me questions. I've had a lot of questions this week. I had a couple of people that asked me questions. The actual outlay of that parking area there that has the gravel on it, this parking lot will follow that outline, but it'll be bigger. Correct?
It is a bigger parking parking lot.
So it's
yes.
not just that little outlay of where the gravel is.
No, it's bigger than that.
It'll be straightened up.
Yep, it gets straightened up and the edges get bigger.
Okay.
It gets pressed out a little bit, but it's 76 spaces.
I had some people ask me questions if it follows the outlay of that.
Okay.
And I said, I think
No.
it's bigger than that,
Now,
but
it
let me
does
double
pinch.
check.
You know how it sort of comes in, it does sort of pinch at one point.
It does.
But it'll have to be straightened out on that
Yep.
right-hand side.
Okay.
Now, I think on the left-hand side, it's pretty close to where
Yeah.
that gravel at the nearest the school, where the line's at, it's pretty close there.
Yeah.
But it does have to take in some additional space.
Thank you for clarifying. I'm just trying to answer the public's questions, so thank you. So Mr. Saylor is calling for a vote for that,
I
so,
recommend passage of the BG.
yeah. So do we have a motion? Shayla Samples makes a motion. Tammy Hardy makes a second. I'd like to call for a vote at this time. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so we're moving on to item number 3, which is consider and possible approval of the following future projects. And first on our list is South Irvine Elementary for window replacement and safety upgrades. I guess it's South Irvine Pre-K and Head
Early
Start.
childhood is
So
what-
early childhood.
That's what a lot of people refer to those
Yeah.
as.
Jeremy, if you can go to the beginning of that, you can pull up last consider possible approval, go up to that and you'll find the attachment under that. And you can pull that up and it goes back to the attachment we had at the last meeting.
There you go, that's
There it
the
is.
slide. So this, just to give you all a rundown real quickly, what we sort of looked at doing scope-wise for this was to replace the original window system. These windows are an energy drain on the school and are not, and this is in the original classroom wing and in the adjunct classroom buildings behind the building. And also, in order to do this, because those windows are an integral part of the structural system, we looked at replacing the exterior wall system as well. That's going to pretty much be required if you remove the windows from this space. We are also looking at doing some Senate Bill 1 work, which would include providing a secure entry vestibule at the school and providing door hardware updates that correlate with Senate Bill 1, making classrooms safer for people if there is an incident in the school. But we'll also be addressing ADA issues with hardware and getting the hardware on the Grandmaster system. There's also some work went into looking into replacing the intercom system at South Irvine. So it's my understanding that from everything that I've read, it feels like all of this entire scope feels like it could be related to ESSER 3 funding if you were looking to do something along those lines. Everything is related to security, safety, ventilation, improved indoor air quality, kids sort of feeling safe at school and having space at school, all of those things. And so it feels like it's a really good ESSER 3 project to me as well. You all had asked a couple of questions that I wanted to make sure you understood at the last meeting. ESSER funding is not tied to your district facility plan. Okay, it's unrestricted funding, so an item doesn't have to be listed on the district facility plan to use ESSER 3 dollars. And ESSER 3 funding is also a non-restricted fund. So if the federal government, there is an approval process online that's called GMAP or something like that. I'm not as familiar with it as I'd like to be, but if it gets approved in the GMAP system, KDE is pretty much, the facilities guys at KDE are just pretty much just pushing it on through. So there is, again, ESSER funding is not tied to your district facility plan, and it's also non-restricted funding. So I'll be happy to answer any questions you have on South Irvine, but that's pretty much what this particular project is looking like right now.
So really, it's a two-step process to get approval to use that money. You fill out the GMAP, and then the KDE still has to approve it once the GMAP is approved.
So the process is the board would approve an initial BG1, right? That's a KDE form. And then once they have that project description, which is part of the BG1, you saw the project description on the last 3 projects that we listed, then you would go to this GMAP website that is attached to the federal funding.
And who does that?
I think the last time Jeremy
Angie
did it.
does it.
Angie and I
Angie.
have access to GMAP, and then
Right.
Jeremy will put it in the fact pack, which that's what we had to do on the 2
Yes.
HVAC projects that we did during the summer.
Right.
We put those in once the budget's uploaded. And so you all will know the ARP ESSER funds, you all will approve that budget at the September 23rd meeting. So once that meeting is taking place and you've approved that budget, at that point in time, you can approve this BG1 if you want to move forward. I do think that this is a great project for our district. There's been a lot of work done at South Irvine. As a matter of fact, I personally believe that at one time we had talked about moving the preschool to Estill Springs, but I think because of space, because of traffic flow, which is already a nightmare at Estill Springs, until we can do something with the parking lot and transition. It's already, can you imagine adding 200 more kids to that campus? That would make that school over 700 students. I just don't think that is a wise move. So the district LPC, the local planning committee, we have to do a new district facility plan next fall. So at that time, we need to take South Irvine back off of the transition list. We need to add it back
Yeah, I think that's a
as
good
a
idea.
school, remove the preschool addition from Estill Springs, which is no longer needed. And at that point in time, we'll take care of that in the future. But regardless of what the facility plan says right now, because it's ESSER funds, it meets the requirements of ESSER, and it's non-restricted, we can move forward with this project. Peter and I have talked about a timeline. The timeline would be that we would go ahead and get a BG1 started, that we would get the construction documents, because this will take a little bit. They'll want to look at the construction documents.
Yeah.
This won't be pushed through like the HVAC projects was. I mean, they were, here's what we're going to do, send a submittal, and they approved it. They'll want to approve the design on this a little bit more, but in the end, KD's going to approve it. It's not restricted money. So we would start probably somewhere near the week before Memorial Day, because remember, at South Irvine gets out earlier. So we would start sometime before Memorial Day. It'll give them a 12 or 13 week window to complete this project, and Peter's gonna verify that.
Yep.
He's gonna verify that before the 23rd.
Yep.
But if that's what you wanna do and you wanna move forward, we basically just need a vote tonight that, yes, we wanna pursue this project, and we'll ask Peter to bring us a BG1 at the September 23rd meeting. And this building would be done and complete before school starts next year.
So would you like to call for a vote? I mean, would you like to make a motion that you want to approve this? That you would like for us to approve
My recommendation
it?
would be that we ask Peter to bring us back a BG1 for the South Irvine project for approval at the September 23rd meeting. If he runs into any hiccups or anything, that doesn't, we don't have to approve it on the 23rd, but if everything
Yeah.
times out the way we think it would, I would ask you then to begin the process.
So we need to make a vote tonight to have Peter proceed with obtaining a BG1.
Yeah, I'd like to have a vote on
For the
record that
South
we want to
Irvine
begin
project.
this project, the plan in place.
So I'd like to call for a motion to have Peter proceed with obtaining a BG1 for the South Irvine window replacement and safety upgrades project.
I'll make a motion.
Tammy Hardy makes a motion. Do we have a second?
Like either one.
Shayla Samples makes a second. I'd like to call for a vote at this time. All in favor? Any discussion? I just had a couple of comments about that project. I've been over to South Irvine, and I mean, in the rooms, they can't even open a window.
That is correct,
And
yeah.
with all the work that we've done to this school, it would be a shame to not finish this out. And it seems like we're going to be using this school for a long time.
We
So-
owe bond payments on that school for 17 more years, or
Yeah.
16 more years, Angie. 16 more years, so that
So-
school will be open for 16 more years. So $500,000 spent now, you're going to have energy savings right off the bat because of the new windows, because you're going to have less heat loss and less air loss. And not only do you have energy savings, you've got the comfort for those kids that's going to be there for the next 16 years. So if you look at that, basically a $500,000 project over 16 years, and you start dividing that out per year, that's not a lot of investment to make, in all honesty, for our kids. You're talking about $35,000 a year, a little bit less than that. So I think that especially it's restricted money, it's one-time money, let's put it towards something the public can see. So I believe that right there is a good use of that money, and my recommendation is to have Peter finish exploring the timeline and have a BG1 on the 23rd.
Peter, get on it.
All right.
So moving right along, we need to discuss and consider possible approval of the future project at Estill Springs with an addition and renovation with option 1 and option 2 to consider.
Yeah, so the scope on this one, as you can see by the slide, we looked at 2 different scenarios. The first one is really where you sort of net add 4 classrooms to the building and you get a new media center. The new media center space that you can see off to the right side of the plan view would free up the space in the middle of the building for 3 additional classrooms. And then as you can see on the right side, there's the lobby space that kind of, that was a classroom space that would be lost, right, to the lobby space there. You would pick up a resource room, but you would lose a classroom. And so then next to or adjacent to that media center, you would have 2 additional classrooms. So there's 5 new classroom spaces and 1 resource classroom space for a net total, but you lost 1 classroom, so there's a net total of 4 classrooms gained and a new media center. Other things we were looking at doing here at Estill Springs was at the gym, we were going to replace the bleachers and replace the flooring at the gym. We were going to look at hardware, door hardware upgrades at the interior, which is again a safety security issue. And then as part of this project, because that new wing lands so close to Old Irvine High, we would include the demolition with some salvage of Old Irvine High School. I have a little bit of cost associated with the masonry memorial marker of Old Irvine High School, and possibly the use of the wood basketball court of Old Irvine High School. And then we would do some infill and additional parking and paving improvements for Estill Springs. So the total construction cost right under $2.5 million for this, and the total cost opinion for the project comes in just under $3 million. The next option 2 looks at a slightly more modest addition, showing the scope the scope is really reduced to adding 2 additional classrooms at Estill Springs. And we would still do the work on the door hardware upgrades, the safety and security issues related with that, and then we would still do the work with the gym, replacing the bleachers and the flooring. That total construction cost around $840,000 with the project scope of $1,008,000.
Okay, so with that one, we don't tear down the Old Irvine High, right?
Well, I think,
No,
yeah, it would become its own separate project at that point, I think.
Yeah, and that's why it's separated out, Tammy, on this, because it does show, the reason why it shows after option 2, it shows Old Irvine, because we would have to pull that completely out and pay for it separate anyway. So that's why it was pulled out like it was.
So if you do the one, then the Esters will cover it, correct?
Well, it covers part of it, and that's part of the things that we've been trying to run down. ESSER will not pay to demo the building.
No.
ESSER will also not pay for the parking lot, improvements as
One of the
well.
questions that I had about the parking lot improvements, since the traffic flow at Estill Springs is so bad, would there be any possibility, if we're tearing down Old Irvine High, would there be a possibility of improving that traffic flow through there? Because it is a problem. I don't know if anybody had considered any of that or thought about any of that, but if that school is going to be gone, would there be a better way to have traffic flow through that?
We did, Donna, at one time look at that. The problem with traffic flow at Estill Springs is not so much, all of it is not really on the school system. A lot of it's on the sides of the city streets, because you're having to use those back city streets. Now, whether or not
That that's
There
what-
could be something done with another entrance
Yeah.
that would bring traffic in
Or
off
an
of
exit.
the main road.
Yeah,
That possibly could be explored and not bring traffic in the back door.
yeah. That's what I'm getting at, because it seems to me like if we're gonna tear down Irvine High, we need to work it to our benefit. And right now, people are complaining every day about the traffic flow down there. We can't really do anything about the city streets, but is there something that we can do as far as making a different entrance, a different exit? Is there something that we could do that would have traffic come in one way and circle and go out the other way? I'm not for sure. I'm just tossing that out there to see if we could consider anything like that. You all may have some other comments about that, but
Jeremy, can you go to the next slide real quick? Can you actually zoom into that? Over. So we are showing, in this particular project, we are showing asphalt mill and overlay for good portions and asphalt full depth replacement for portions of this whole loop around back here. Some additional parking, 32 additional parking spaces with a sidewalk around the loop to connect to the school. I personally am not sure what kind of opportunity, like extending this drive
It
through.
used to go all the way through there.
Yeah, I don't know
Down by that White
if
House.
that's
Yeah.
something that you, again, I'm not entirely sure, I guess you
Behind
would,
that White House.
you kind of like,
For sale.
I know it's for
you
sale.
kind of like drop off and pick off coming this way. So maybe you could come and go out that way, but you're still sort of having to access this.
But
street.
even still, the street is so narrow, it would prevent two cars from trying to pass on that really narrow road.
Right.
Well, how
So-
about, how it used to go right down next to the old Irvine High, and then on the main road? Why can't they do that again?
I just think it's something we really need to consider if we are going to tear down the school. I think we need to make it work to our benefit, or the kids' benefit, and our people's benefit.
I agree.
What do you all think?
I agree. But like I said, remember, it used to go all the way through
Yeah.
there, and then they stopped it.
Yeah, took off.
And maybe now's not the time to have that conversation, but I mean, just looking at it, and we're talking about parking lots and doing all this, maybe we need to redirect and think, how could we make that traffic flow better?
I think, Peter, the only thing I can think of, I mean, is that maybe if this was still your entrance,
Right.
but the exit was
Was
over
over
the
there.
main road,
Right.
eliminate this exit here.
Yeah.
Basically what we would do. There would be no
Yeah.
exit
Parking
No,
out
old
here.
parking lot out there.
So you would just come in this way, loop around, this would be the drop off,
Come out.
pick up
That's the
zone
same way,
here,
that's what they used to do.
and then drive around here and head out.
Well, actually, they just went on straight.
Right.
Like, where they blocked all that off. Where's the building? There's the building.
There's the building.
Okay, right here at this end?
You know, this used to go all the way
Yeah,
out.
that used to go all the way out to the main road.
Yeah, but that's gonna hit your bus loop.
But now, that will take out the bus loop. You
Oh,
get-
the front.
Yeah, you
Why
wanna
don't you
leave the
take-
bus loop.
Okay, I
You
forgot
have to
about
go
that.
between the Irvine High and the White
Yeah,
House.
you're gonna have space from where the school is gonna be torn
But this
down.
exit road where between the
The biggest-
building and the
See,
White
if
House.
they enter off of 89, then you're gonna have traffic, unless you enter and then go right back out.
Yeah, you would have to enter, you could split here, right, and maybe even.
Yeah.
Would there be a
Circle around.
roundabout that would make a
Roundabout.
difference if you put a roundabout that would,
I can have,
I tell you what, I had Michael look at it, but maybe what we're talking about here is you can see this, I think this is actually the driveway of the house.
It is,
It
is.
yeah.
It is.
But our property is starting about right here.
Mhm.
So the thing would be, can you come here in off of 89?
Right.
We'd have to come straight across, we own that property behind that house, we'd have to come across and
And
then
then hook in here.
Hook in. Into the
enter
circle.
here, and maybe we just take, you can
That
leave
one
this
out.
back entrance, but you wouldn't
Yeah.
have to use it, but come in come across,
Circle around and back out.
then they would come around this way, then they'd come through here, and then you'd have a
Circle back out.
lane out.
Yeah.
Right.
So the lane in and out would be here.
Yeah, and that way all the parking lot will be out there. To back
Now,
up
you would
traffic.
still have part of your parking lot would be on this side of the road.
Correct.
And,
Yes.
and maybe instead of using that parking lot for staff parking, you locate your staff parking to the back of the building and only use that for visitor parking.
Yes.
And that way that lot would be more clear during the morning for people to come in and out of the facility. I mean, you're adding additional parking spaces by,
They used to have a fence or something went all the way up next to that White House driveway anyway. I think it was kinda like an alley, wasn't it?
maybe.
Really?
I've used it when
Now,
I pulled
visitors are
in.
gonna wanna use the bus loop mostly.
The what?
During the school day,
During the
like
school day,
in the morning
visitors.
during drop off, if you needed to come in,
Yeah.
you could come in, come around
And
and
circle
park
back
and
out.
walk in.
And walk over.
I think there's an opportunity there, Peter, to possibly do that. We'd have to explore what the cost of a new road
Okay.
would be, because you would have to have a new road here,
You would.
you have that
Makes it so
expense,
much easier.
This
then you have that
Myself, when I've had to
expense,
extend it to
it's
the
not
building.
gonna be cheap.
You might be able to
They cut it off, they put a trench
get,
through it
I
one
don't know
time.
if you would do this or not.
But
You
the
might be able to
good,
save
like
us some
Alley-like
savings.
place.
the road, yeah.
Yeah, the way you
Out of the
cut
parking lot,
that out,
or-
you
Yeah.
probably, I don't even know if you,
Really,
you probably might
access
still
in
want that
there.
back entrance for events,
I think
but
so.
I don't know that you'd want that in.
Right. I don't think that you would.
The owners of
Spend money.
that house would probably be appreciative of that as well.
Which, the big White House?
The
No,
one
they're
that
actually
comes up
accessing-
to you.
Joanna.
They're
or
accessing
Joanna.
their driveway off of our parking
Yeah.
lot,
Right.
which you've got to provide an easement.
That too.
I mean, we can look into that.
Well, I mean, that way the traffic would be on the main road or nowhere at all. Because, you know, you could double, like if you had double stack down through there while they're coming in, you could do that.
You'd keep a lot of people off of that back
Yep.
Yes.
streets.
Congestion back
But
in
now,
there.
here's what you're gonna have happen now, guys. They're gonna back up on 89.
Yeah, that could be, that would be something you
They're
would
gonna,
not
they're
want
gonna
to
back
happen.
out.
Well, that's why that there's gonna have to be somebody from the police department to help direct traffic.
You would want to make sure that you had enough room and that people were moving pretty well all the way around the loop.
Is there any way of getting
So
a
that they
stoplight
weren't
in
backing
that
up
area?
on the main road, that would be a real problem.
Is there any way
I
of
think.
getting a stoplight installed? in that
It's
area?
like that now, Peter.
they
It
won't put
already
a-
is congested
If they
now.
won't put a stoplight in at the high school, middle
They
school,
won't
parking
want
lot,
it
they're
there
not
either.
gonna put one there.
It's already congested now, Peter.
Okay.
The only difference is right now is people out on the main road don't know it because it's all on the back street.
Right.
On
The fuss
side
is
street,
gonna be-
The Chestnut Stand Street.
The fuss is gonna be, then all of a sudden, the road's gonna be backed up all the way to the courthouse.
In your high school.
Again.
Traffic's gonna be backed up to the courthouse. And I mean, it's just the fact that parents like to bring their kids to school
Mm-hmm.
when they're that age.
Yep.
True.
And that's the issue. Now, you're gonna be able to stack a lot of cars.
Yes, you really are.
Your office is down there, how far are they backed up every morning? They're backed up under the public library, are they not?
On my street,
Trying to get in there of the morning?
I don't
I know
really see
early
it.
on they were.
I don't really see it.
Yeah, early on, I know they was to the courthouse, they said, but
Now, it may have calmed down a lot since then.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, by the time probably you're open, schools are
I-
in session too.
Yes.
But I just think it's something we should consider.
Okay, can I ask a question?
Uh-huh.
All right, up here where Joanne and them's house is, you said that she used off ours, right?
Yeah.
How far do we own that bank back through there, like behind the old swimming pool? Could you
We
make that
own-
wider?
We own almost to, their fence line back there is pretty close to the property boundary.
But you know what I'm saying, could you take some of that bank off and make it wider?
Well, I mean, I think that's what you would do. You would come in, I think if you did make this your entrance, you would enter here, and it's been a street there before.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
So you'd enter here, and you could bring that street more or less here
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying,
and let it come here,
yeah.
Right.
okay? And then when they're exiting, they're gonna go right here, and then they're gonna turn that curve and go right back out. So really, you're making that a 2-lane road
Yeah.
from here on. Now, you'd have a parking lot over here that you could put a crosswalk into. You
Yeah.
still have these parking spaces.
And then you had the parking lot where the
Yeah, and I
other
mean-
school was.
You could stack a lot of cars.
It would be a lot of, I could find out the number.
I
It would be a
mean,
pretty
you
good
could-
amount.
You'd see there, there'd be a lot of cars that could stack there. The thing about it is, this does go down to 2 lanes out here, and that's why I'm saying at some point in time, if you don't have help from IPD, you're gonna have traffic back plumb to the courthouse.
It may be a situation like at the high school too, where you can't go left. When you exit, you can
Yeah,
only go right.
Yep.
And that
Right.
keeps the traffic flowing. And that would just be on our property that you say can't turn right, or you can't turn left, you gotta turn right.
Yeah, and go out through the bypass if you
And
want
go
to.
out through the bypass.
Yep.
And that
That's
keeps
a long
everybody
way around,
flowing.
though, for somebody. I'm just gonna play the devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Go for it.
I live in Furnace Mountain,
Yeah.
so then I gotta go all the way down around the bypass, back around the
Well,
bridge.
they
and
don't
back
have
up
to,
back.
they can go to go time and turn around.
They can go to the car wash and turn around.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no
Well,
easy
no, they got
solution
buckets
for
Right.
it, but I mean, I think it needs to be explored if we are gonna be
Yeah.
doing all
And,
of this.
you know, we would be, you know, with that solution that we've talked about here tonight, there would be some need to address that upgrade with the transportation cabinet, because 89 is a state road, so you would need, there would be a little bit more of a delay in the project, because that does take some time.
This part of the road could come out,
Yeah, it could go away.
it goes away, that goes away.
Mm-hmm.
This is not something that we have to approve tonight. I think, Peter, we got
Right.
a little legwork to do there.
Yep, I agree.
Then I
So let
wa-
me ask you, go ahead.
So I was gonna ask, now, are the bleachers and the flooring, are they really that bad that they need to be
The
replaced?
bleachers do.
They are?
need to be
Okay.
repaired. They're the
I hadn't been
last
in
set
there,
of
so I didn't
bleachers.
know.
Yeah.
The bleachers are
They're
the
the
last set
original.
of bleachers that need to be replaced.
They're the original bleachers.
Okay.
My proposal on this project, when the time comes, and it's a good, now's the time to do it. I'm glad Donna's brought it up. Roland had explored that before.
We did when we were doing some
But-
work on a South Urban Edition or something like
Yeah,
that.
well, that's when we were looking at moving some of the entrance and stuff back there on the football field.
Correct.
And it's gonna come in and it'd be a total different
There was,
thing.
yeah, like a gym addition, there was, or kitchen expansion. Yeah, I do remember doing that.
Yeah, that's when we were gonna build a gym, or we were gonna make an addition on the football field.
And build
Yeah.
out
Yep.
these classrooms back there,
Yeah.
yes. That's exactly right. So I think that's a good point. I guess the one thing that we could sort of give them some guidance on. My personal opinion is that you would take option 1 on this project. And we would scrap option 2, which is just adding 2 classrooms on the end next to the creek.
Yeah.
It's not going
Because that will put us awful close to the creek.
and flooding.
It doesn't flood there. The last flood would not have got in there, but it probably is in the floodplain based on the 100 and,
It
Yeah,
is now, because remember the last time that little flood come through, it flooded all of it.
Yeah.
So on these next 3 possible options, do we just need to table those 3 until we have more information, since some of it is contingent on the old Irvine High School? Do we
well,
just,
C needs to be dropped if we're going to do option 1.
correct.
but we don't know if we're gonna do option 1 until we have more information about C.
Let's see.
That's the old urban
Okay.
demo and parking lot
Right.
improvement. So we can't do Estill Springs unless we,
Well, option 1, okay, it's about Springs. Do you want
Right.
2 classrooms or do you want 4? Do you want a new library and 4 classrooms, or do you want 2 classrooms and that's it? So that's basically what it boils down to. 2 classrooms does not provide them with enough space, in my opinion.
No.
So that's why option 2 would go away, and they can forget about option 2. And then option 1 regardless of whether or not you bring traffic in on 89 or you keep traffic flow going the same, Old Irvine's got to come down no matter what. So it would eliminate C, you're right. C's gone if you
Correct.
choose option 1. And you can get rid of that, let Peter and Michael and them do some more legwork, but preferably, I think you would go with option 1, is what the board wants to do. That's what we need to start pursuing. The way you would pay for it is that you would pay for the addition, all the safety upgrades with ESSER funds. You would pay for the parking lot improvements and the removal of Old Irvine High with the capital outlay cash, about $650,000, which is that $1.1 million that we currently have, not including the $500,000. So that's how they would proceed. We would have to see, okay, what is the cost of that road?
Correct. And the layout. You would want to see a layout of
Oh, yes.
the drive,
Can
right?
you go back to the
If they take that
drawing?
blank out, you could put
Go
three
back.
rows through there. There'd be plenty of rows through there.
Multiple lanes.
Yeah. Just for the
Go
entrance
back
lane.
one more.
And one more. Yeah.
You would want, thank you, there it is. You would want to go with this classroom setting.
Yeah.
You would
Yes.
want to build the new library with the 4 new classrooms, because remember, you're losing one.
Yeah.
So basically, you gain 4 classrooms and a new library. The question is, do we have a new entrance right here, an exit for the building, or does it remain on its same entrance and exit?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I don't know how we can approve to go with the BG1 until we know exactly how we're going to do the entrance, the exit,
I could
and all of
prepare
those
both,
things. I
if
maybe
you'd
I'm
like.
not seeing the clear picture, but that's my thoughts
Right.
on it. I mean, I understand what you're saying about classrooms, but it's gonna make a difference on where they're located and everything based on the,
No, that's gonna be the classrooms regardless if you do the road or you leave the road alone. That's the
Right.
building. That's what it looks
So
like.
that's the front of the building right here, right?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
doesn't
here.
change. This doesn't change no
This
matter
is over
what.
side over towards the Irvine High School.
See,
Let me ask you-
Irvine High is leaving no matter what.
So it's
not
up there.
It's gone. It's not here. It's right here on the edge.
Right.
Okay.
So Irvine High is gone. So this is gonna happen no matter what. The question is, do we have a new 2-lane road coming off of 89, or do we keep the 2 roads that's coming in up here? So it's just the parking lot is all that's gonna change.
Okay, what about,
And go ahead.
what about parent pickup and drop off?
Stay same place.
Yeah, that's all the same system.
The parent drop-off is right here, right now. Okay, we're picking
Yep.
up and dropping
Okay.
off right here, right now, so they're still gonna come
So
in
it
and go
feeds off
out
of
that
that back
parking
door,
lot.
Yeah.
that side door.
They're going out like that. That's not gonna change. So now
Okay.
the only difference is, are they gonna turn here and go
Or
out?
go back.
Or are they gonna keep going the way they do?
Okay, that's what I was asking.
That's the only difference. The parking and drop-off, the parent drop-off does not
So that
change.
will not change.
The only thing's changing is whether we're gonna use 89 or we're gonna stay on
Back
the
street.
entrance and exit. That's on, what is that street that goes up?
Laurel Street.
Yeah.
I think that, and I understand, we're not talking about bringing them back to BG1.
Yeah, we can just bring back
Not in
information.
September. I wouldn't be asking that, but I'm just saying,
You just, when,
are you leaning more towards building a new library and 2 additional classrooms to give you 4 new ones? Or go up a page, Jeremy,
Other way.
other way, please. Or you just want to build 2 classrooms on the end and call it a day, keep the same library. And we've already budgeted in ESSER to, and I can move the money, but we've already budgeted enough money in ESSER to pay for that project, to pay for the new library.
And the 4 classrooms.
and 4 classrooms. Well, if you're looking towards the future, you want to have, be able to expand, have it in place.
So you are right on one thing, Ms. Donna. we're not asking for a BG1 in September because we want them to go back down and explore this road thing. Because without having a cost estimate on that, we have no idea what it's gonna cost. So basically, you are talking about tabling B tonight and tabling C. We're gonna table both of those. But to give Peter clear direction, are you talking about 2 classrooms and tearing down Old Irvine? Or are you talking about 4 classrooms with the new library tearing down Old Irvine? And they need some direction on how to go.
I say 4.
I say so.
That's all. We can't approve a BG1 because they don't have a cost estimate. It just sort of gives them, what it allows them to do is they can drop this one.
So is that the best location to add 2 classrooms? Because it makes the shape of the building really awkward to me.
This
Because
here?
the 2 on the side, if you're adding 4 classrooms, it makes the shape of the
Option
building really
How
odd.
about option 1?
Yeah.
The reason why it was
It-
turned that way is because that's the way 89 turns in that curve.
But it makes the whole shape of the building really odd to me.
Symmetry of the building, yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Look at it and see what you guys think.
Go back to the other one, Jeremy.
One
No,
more.
back up. There you go.
I mean, see how it
Instead of coming
is?
straight out like the,
Sorry, guys. it's
they're
hard.
angled this way instead of going straight.
So we do have a road currently with the parent drop off that
Yes.
sort
Yeah.
of goes here
Yeah.
this way that we were trying to hang on to that you don't see in this plan. You may be able to see, Jeremy, I'm sorry, can you scroll up just a little bit? Yeah. So you can kind of see how close that building footprint is coming to Old Irvine. And we're dealing with this road for pickup and drop off right sort of in front of it. So to
Is that
straighten
the
it up-
best place to do parent drop off all the time though, if we're doing this whole big renovation? I mean, I'm just trying to make sure
Yeah.
we're doing this project, that we're doing it right.
Right,
And
so,
so I'm just, in my mind, trying to conceptualize and trying to see, is that the right way to have the flow and the drop off and the pickup and all of that? Or do we need to look at what our options are? I mean, it's not a law that parent drop off has to be there, right?
right, it's a relatively, it was part of the renovation a couple years ago, right? So it's a pretty new addition to the school. It's one of the reasons that we were trying to, I guess maybe trying to hold on to it. Trying to fit it in back here was really difficult with the creek.
Yeah.
Behind the school, we have the geothermal well field is sitting there now, so that was pretty
This ain't very
troublesome.
nothing.
And anytime you tried to come straight off of this, in this direction, you were sort of flirting around with having to deal with the bus loop and not really being able to fit the program in.
Yeah, you
as well.
can't, there's no way you can put classrooms here. You can't put 4
No,
on that
she's not.
front because
No.
then you're in the bus loop.
Right.
You can only put 2 on
Like
that
this.
end because
Had him
of
on
the
here.
creek.
Straight
On
out.
this end, the creek, and you can't put 2 on
But
this
he's saying they
end.
didn't do them straight out because he's saying that the road turns and they're doing it with the turn of the road,
Right.
Bus
There's a-
loop.
yeah,
is what he's saying.
Because 89 turns here, people coming from this direction, it will sort of, be facing the road. You're gonna get a better look at that library. I mean, you can come off that and re-change the entire road. If you wanted to go down, Jeremy, just a little bit. No, wrong way.
There you go.
Right here. I mean, if you want to go this direction and put 4 classrooms, you're going to be dealing with a lot of slope there. You know how that goes up the hill.
And the water runs down.
But you possibly could put 2 on that end, 2 on this end, but the parent drop-off still got to be on this end.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know
There's
that.
nowhere else. You can't drop them here, you can't
Not
drop
there.
them here, you
Here's what
can't
the-
drop them, it's got to be here. So you'd have to
The bus-
redo the entire parent drop-off that you had before.
And also, Don, there would be, we're sort of at a BG1 stage, an initial BG1, does the district want a project? There would be a schematic design.
But if you
phase
put
where
2
we could-
classrooms, so right now you're adding 4 classrooms and a new library is what
Yeah.
you're doing
Yeah.
with this option.
Yeah.
But if you put 2 classrooms on each end and kept the library where it is and renovated it, I mean, it's the same difference, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you can do that, you're gonna lose one resource room, but then you're gonna have some major grade issues on that side because you don't have room.
On what, on the creek side?
No.
No,
As
on
you
this
come
side.
out, as you come
Side
out, like
towards Irvine.
you're sort of suggesting that we come out with 2 classrooms on this bank right here, right? And rework the parent drop off.
Go, Jeremy, back up to the picture.
And that's certainly something we can.
Can you blow the picture up?
He's getting there.
You're talking about right here, you'd be putting 2 classrooms
Yeah.
right here.
Yeah.
Then you've got to change the way this parent drop-off
Right.
is, and you've got all that grade change right there. That is.
But that's what we're talking about anyway, because we're
It
talking
is.
about changing the traffic flow. That's what we're talking about anyway.
But it wouldn't change
Well,
the traffic
roads-
flow
the
down
roads
there,
would still
just
work
up here.
pretty well. The roads would still work through there. Right, if you came up with a classroom addition, especially back here, you would have to rework the parent loop. Which is not, I mean, that could become.
Well, it pushes the parent loop all the way to the end as well, because the only entrance is in the middle of those 2 classrooms, so it puts the entrance here. And remember, this is a big bank right here. This is a big bank right here, so if you put that classroom there, then you've got to bring that road more here, and then try to get it turned and enter the building here. So you're gonna be dealing with a lot of grade issues there. I mean, can it be done? Yes.
It's expensive.
But it,
And we can explore different options during schematic design, you know what I'm saying? I mean, this is.
I'm not trying to be difficult. I'm just knowing it's a mess down there with traffic and getting in and getting out. And I want to get the best bang for our buck. And are we doing the right thing by, I'm just asking questions. I'm not trying to be difficult. I've had quite a few people ask me about it, and that's some of the ideas that were tossed out to me. So we can move on though. I'm not trying to,
no, I think we can go back.
I mean, it's just like with the ATC. I mean, we explored and
Yeah.
explored and explored, just trying to make sure that we were getting the right space, the right, you know, everything. And I just don't want us to just jump into this and it not be right.
I mean, and we.
I don't know, how do you all feel? I don't want to be the one doing all the talking, but, I mean, it seems like we have time, we're not in a rush,
Correct.
and we need to make sure that we're considering what our possibilities are.
The one big issue that they have right now at Estill Springs is you've got students entering into the end of a hallway. So they're not entering into a lobby area, they're entering in immediately to a classroom wing. So that's why we looked at extending or having a lobby, if you go back to the drawing, Jeremy, which is up.
And the media center itself will
Well,
provide a good opportunity for kids coming into the building as
So
well.
now the students can enter into a lobby area and they're not entering straight into a classroom wing that is wide open. But you would have to reconfigure your parent drop-off, but the only place you can drop off is right there. It's the only place you've got.
So with them,
We used to drop off at the front of the school.
That's your bus
You
drop-off.
can't do.
Right.
I mean, we used to do that.
Do
but-
both?
I mean, I'm saying we used to drop off at the front of the school.
my kids never went there, so I don't know.
Well, you couldn't do that now because of the fact what would happen is you definitely will have traffic back up on 89 N. Because you can only drop off one line of cars at a time. So you're gonna have traffic backed up all the way up into downtown and backed up to GoTown the other way trying to get in. You've gotta try to get them off the street as soon as you can. And then stack the traffic on the school property.
foot, and take off that bank.
Peter, you can look at that.
We'll bring you a couple of images.
You can bring some images. I was gonna ask y'all for a BG1 on this one anyway, because
It's gonna make the cemetery of the
once we
school.
start talking about a new driveway, we need to
Doesn't
just
that
look
look
at
like
this.
just a new part built onto it?
But it's built onto the end, it's gonna make it, the design of the building, the cemetery. I'm symmetrical.
So do you understand what I'm
I'm
saying
gonna-
about the way
Well,
that
it's angled.
is?
Yeah, but the
And
way I
then
picture it, it
if
would be
you're
on
gonna
up
be
toward where
like-
the new old school was.
Like
the
this, and it
Irvine
have
High.
a curvature in the,
Like that would be right there where the parking lot is the Irvine High, correct? The back parking lot?
It's
Those
close.
two
It would be
It's
close,
close.
yeah.
Yeah.
close.
It would be
There's
close.
some, green
Yeah.
space between the two buildings right
Okay,
now.
I'll hush.
We'll
I don't
bring you
like the
some more to
curvature
look
of the
at.
media
How does that
center.
sound?
It should be a rectangle, just like the rest of the building.
And I mean, we can try to do that. I do think you'll get into some
Aesthetics
pretty
look better.
expensive.
To make it
road-
the media center a rectangular shape instead of the curvature in the wall in the front.
I mean, you could, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, that was just a
It
sort
would
of
look more
modernize
symmetrical
it.
with the building and the design of the building.
I mean, yeah, they could make it into a rectangle.
Mhm.
If y'all don't like the
I'm
curve.
hushing Peter,
Because
I'm
look
not
at all
saying
the rest of the
anything
building.
else.
What is it? Rectangle. Goes against the rest of.
COVID has
the
destroyed
original
my brain.
design.
I've dealt with
You're
it so
fine.
much.
You're fine. You are fine.
All right,
This
so
is, I
what do
love
we,
doing this stuff.
Give us some options, Peter,
Yeah.
on two on each end.
Yep.
But I also
It doesn't fit
think,
in with
you
the
know,
original design of the building.
that's gonna change your parent drop-off so much.
Yeah, we'll leave one that
And
we
we can't
don't.
lose the maintenance building.
There's some storm
That's what
lines.
you put in danger, is you put that storage building in danger if you start cutting that hillside off.
Well, all I was concerned about is keeping with the original design of the building. But if you look at it, it is rectangles and squares. And when you get that curvature,
Okay.
So bring the media
Mhm.
center and make the media center
Yeah.
look.
consistent with the rest of the building.
What I'll try to go for is a scheme that shows a road coming off 89 that has more rectangular shape at the end, right? And then we'll do a scheme
that maintenance
that shows,
is
you know,
running away.
Yes.
It's
something
running
similar
away.
to what we have already, because there's gonna be different costs involved. And then maybe, something showing the 4 classrooms, 2 at each end.
And that way
So-
we'll sort of see.
Yeah, you'll get to,
Parent
you
drop-off
can,
is
mix and
gonna be
match.
the issue that you've got.
Yeah.
It will be the issue.
Well, if we
trying to
did,
get-
I mean, just what we were talking about, the parents table where it's at. but
There needs to be a conversation had with Mayor Gross as well, as to what is their ability in terms of traffic every morning.
Right.
And I don't know what IPD's capability would be, because if we move all the traffic to the main highway, it's gonna be off of the back streets. So does that create an issue for IPD?
Okay.
Maybe, let me ask you this, Peter, just, I know y'all wanna move on, but what about that you only exit on the 89, a right turn lane or a left turn lane?
Right.
But
Yep.
the entrance still stays back there at the.
On the side
CSEC
street.
building,
Yeah.
On the side.
And Michael and his crew will have some really strong opinions about how to move traffic around back there. They may come up with some ideas that, we
What do
haven't
you
seen
think
here
about that,
tonight.
guys? Exiting only on 89, but keep the entrance all the way in the back. all
That
the
way they
back.
wouldn't be meeting each other and
Yeah.
get double congestion.
Which is what I said to begin with.
With,
Yeah.
that's what she said.
Both exits.
That's what I
Yeah.
said.
We started talking about entering too, and I may have brought that up, we could have entered off 89, but that was, I don't know so that's an option.
Mhm, yep.
Donna's first thing is having
Around the,
a double exit off the 89.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing too is, Miss Jessica and Miss Brooke Mays, maybe they have some thoughts on it. Because they're there every
deal with it
day,
every
so
day.
maybe they would have more thoughts on it than, I want to make sure that we're
Yeah.
doing the right thing.
That's good, and we met with
Maybe in
Jessica,
New
but we
Gates
didn't talk
across the-
about parking. and maybe that's something we need to circle back around. If you was gonna do this project, and we can do that, you're talking about any addition could be done at any time. The work inside would have to be done during the summer.
Yeah.
So you've got plenty of time. So there's no need to rush and make a mistake.
No. Just find the best
And there's no need,
solution.
there's no worry about, that's what this is for, to discuss this, and let's make sure. So,
Bring us back some options.
yeah,
Okay.
there's no apologies needed.
No, this is exciting.
This is just an idea.
This really is exciting work for me. So I'll be happy to
But I do
go back
think
to Michael and work on
option 2 is out. We're just not gonna put 2.
And I agree that we need space, I agree we need classrooms, I agree that we need all of these things, I agree
Okay.
with that. But what I'm saying is if we're doing this, let's make sure that we're doing it right. Let's make
Yep.
sure to check about the traffic flow. Let's think outside the box.
Yep.
And make sure that we're making it a good project because it's gonna have to be what we have for a long time.
Okay.
Now, you've got no money left.
No.
This is it. This is one-time money.
And then
Gotta
you
be
make it to the
spent
best, use it to the best of our ability.
Okay.
All right, so we're gonna
Right.
table, or Peter's gonna bring back more information on the Estill Springs project, and then we'll discuss further the Irvine demo and parking improvements, correct?
Perfect.
Yeah, and I think we eliminate option 2. That's out. We know that it's gonna be 4 classrooms. It's just a matter about the orientation.
Right, we'll come back with options 1A, 1B, and 1C.
That's
How's that
perfect.
sound?
That'd be
Something
fine.
along those lines.
And I do think it would be more savings just to exit off of 89 and keep the.
Yes, yes.
Back there, the other, but
That's
you
what
take
I
it
said
out.
to begin with, Mr. Sutter, you wasn't listening to me.
I know.
Hard-headed man.
Well, I was trying to put the entrance up there too. That's,
We're giving you a hard time.
that's okay.
No,
Men are pigs, I tell girls that all the time. Stay away from them.
Because it's right on the hill anyway.
Track
We'll have
down
to
the
be
hill,
up there.
go.
All right, so do you want to discuss the middle school restroom
We do
project?
need to decide what y'all want to do with this one. This is a ESSER project, would be a total ESSER project
Yes.
for the renovation of all the restrooms, which is probably the part of that building that is in the most need of
Yes,
attention,
I agree.
along with safety upgrades. And you see a cost estimate there of about $600,000. It would be 100% ESSER, no other funding source. And it's just a matter, if you want them to proceed, this would be work done during the summer and would be easily done during the summer.
And is that all the restrooms in the school or just the ones by the gym?
So we have looked at every single restroom space in the school, and the locker room spaces are included in this. I've kind of highlighted them on this plan. We originally just looked at the gang restrooms, but Mr. Saylor asked us to expand the scope. So we picked up every space that has restroom facilities in it to include in this sort of preliminary cost opinion,
Okay.
and also the entire locker room space.
Do you have a recommendation on it,
My
Mr. Saylor?
recommendation would be on that one, since it's a complete ESSER project and meets the scope of ESSER, I would ask him to bring us back a BG1 on that one at the 23rd meeting.
Okay, so do I have a motion for Peter to bring back a BG1 on the middle school restroom renovation and safety measures upgrade using ESSER
I
funds?
make the motion.
The motion's made by Sheila Samples. It is second by Tammy Hardy. I'd like to call for a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, so we're moving along to action items. We have to consider approval of COVID testing contract with a company.
This is the same contract that we brought last time, and it's for Gravity Diagnostics. And this is the company that, of course, our own local health department uses. And based on what is supposed to be passed tonight, sometime this afternoon in the special session, is that one of the options that school districts are going to have, instead of quarantining kids, is that they would have a test to stay program. Well, if that's going to happen, then we're going to have to be hooked up with somebody that is going to be able to supply the testing.
2 hours ago, the Second General Assembly has passed House Bill 1. The
Yeah.
bill now heads to go to this year's desk.
Yes.
So we have 10 days, I believe is the way it's written in there, and I gave you all an update, it's later on listed on this, that we'll have 10 days to put some type of test to stay program in. Now, this will not be something that parents, we can force the kid to test. If a kid is in close contact, they are either going to have the option probably to quarantine, or they would have the option to test and stay, is my understanding.
So let me ask this, okay? So if we test them, do we test them immediately?
Every morning upon their arrival.
So the state is gonna give you all kinds of rapid testing kits.
That's supposed to be what's supposed to happen, which we
Fayette
both
County just
know.
adopted it today. They're fixing
You
to put
and
it
I
in
both
place.
know.
Greenock
you're in
County already has it in
healthcare,
place, has for a
Well,
month.
it ain't, still ain't doing no good.
How many
They test you
rapid
right now.
tests was
It's still in
destroyed
development.
back during the summer that they did away with them because they didn't think they needed them no more? My personal opinion, they'll never be able to come up with the test that's needed. Because the policy is gonna be that you're a close contact. You call the parent. You have two options, to quarantine them or to test to stay. And I believe the way, based on what I've been told, I've not seen the final bill, is that they would have to test every morning for 5 days, I believe it is. So that means every kid that's a close contact has 5 rapid
All right,
tests.
so if you're a close contact, it's not even recommended that you have testing from 3 to 7 days post-contact. So why would you test them immediately to be able to stay at school?
I've questioned all.
I mean, why would you
People
test
have
them
no idea.
immediately
They're
if
not
they
medical
just had exposure? That's not even the testing window.
We
You
might
have to wait for the
have other
incubation period.
options.
What?
We might have other
Incubation
options,
period.
guys. I've not seen it. But we would have to abide by
I
the way it's
understand,
written.
but what you're saying is you're saying you test to stay once you're exposed. Well, that doesn't even follow guidelines.
No, because you're gonna test them for
Right.
5 days, it might not show up for 3 to 5
Yeah,
days.
for
It
longer.
could show up 7 days
Right.
later.
So,
I know,
So it doesn't meet current CDC guidance based on what I've been told it's gonna happen. Now, they may have made adjustments to it today.
No, I don't think
We
they
won't
did.
see it until tomorrow. Or it may be out there right now.
it's out there. Greenock County has had this in place, I think, about a month.
Green County, I think,
Green
was the one that
County.
had
And then
this
Fayette
in
County's-
place and been using it.
And in
Fayette's putting it in place next week in 2 of their 20-some schools. And they're gonna try to ramp it up. Guys, honestly, some of the stuff that was in this, we already could do. In 20 days, we could already quarantine a student, we could quarantine a classroom, we could quarantine a grade level. I kept trying to tell them, we can already do
Because
this.
that's already in the original bill.
Yeah, if they didn't make the right language, if we can't do a hybrid model where if we had a really huge spike among students, that we could send half our students home and half of them in school on a hybrid model, whether it's for a week at a time or whatever, then really, we've been given no more tools than what we had. We've only got 10 NTI days if we have to have a district-wide shutdown. That is weather days normally, but if something happened, we had a breakout in our transportation system, we would have to use NTI days. So I think at some point in time, we're going to have to be involved with a company that can supply the test. Now, whether it's this company or whether it's another company, this is the company that our health department currently uses that I think even you're familiar with.
I am.
I don't know if one company's better than the other. I honestly don't. I think it's going to put a lot of pressure on our nursing staff. Thank God we've got a nurse in every school because it's going to fall to them to have to do these tests. They're gonna supply people to help you with testing, but there's gonna be nurses that's gonna have to do the testing. It's, honestly, it's right out of every scope of what you should be having to do as a school to be able to do this. But if we don't give our parents this option, then our only other option is to quarantine kids. And I can tell you probably the calls that you are getting and the calls you're taking the beating on are the quarantine calls. We've had some kids now that's been quarantined for the third time for close contact.
Yeah, I heard one come home and then he went to school one day and then they sent him back for contact again,
Yeah.
so.
So I don't know if this is the company you all want to deal with. I think everybody's going to be scrambling now with this passing. Everybody's going to be scrambling to get hooked up with some company. So if you all want me to do some more research, I can try to do some more research.
I'd say we do need to use the one that the health department uses, just because that's, yeah.
Donna, what's your opinion as medical? I mean, because this is beyond my scope of just being tested. I mean, what is your,
Medical opinion, your professional.
like
Well,
layman terms to tell us?
I feel like at our schools that our teachers and our nurses and our assistants at school are being forced to take care of medical situations as opposed to teaching.
Right.
And I feel like that our entire day is taken up with contact tracing, with trying to figure out who's sitting by who and who got exposed and who did what. And I think this is just another level to add to that.
Okay.
I agree that if the state is going to mandate it, we're going to have a program in place. But I really feel like that there's so many distractions at school right now that we're not even focused on the main thing.
Well,
And
like
our
I said,
teachers
unless
are
it's-
overwhelmed.
So right now, it's not a state mandate. We have to have this at the moment.
I feel like our
correct?
teachers are overwhelmed. I feel like our nurses at school are overwhelmed. And this is all they're able to deal with.
Right.
And this is another layer to that.
And if you look at what I attached to a couple attachments down, the bill that was going before the House and Senate this afternoon is going to give us 10 days to have a program in place. So if that passed, that means we've got 10 days up to the 23rd board meeting. And at that point, coming back that following week, which would be the 28th or something like that, we've got to have a plan in place. And honestly, guys, I'm telling you, she's 100% right.
Right, oh, yeah, that's why I was asking.
Knows that right now,
Everybody's
everybody in that building, other than the teachers in the classroom, are having to contact trace, call parents, and deal with COVID cases. That's what's having to be done. Thank God, I really do believe that because of our mitigation procedures and everything, you've seen our number of COVID cases go down. At one time, we were almost 60 or 70 on a Friday. We're right now about 20. So, I mean, they went down. Our number of quarantines has went down. You know why? Because we're wearing masks.
Yes.
The very moment you go away from wearing masks, your quarantines are going to double, if not triple.
Want me sneezing and coughing?
So in terms of not wearing masks in schools, if you want to see the number of quarantines go up and contact tracing go up, take the mask off of them, because then we won't be able to have.
Then we can share all our germs.
We won't be able to have school if we take the mask off of them, because all we're going to do is be contact tracing, because all of a sudden you take a 3-foot circle and turn it into a 6-foot circle. Then you got a mess on your hands.
I just want to make it clear that I think our health department has done a fabulous job.
They have.
And this is nothing reflective of them that our schools are having to do a lot of this. It's just the nature of the beast. And I'm a rule follower, and if they say we need a program in place, I think that we're going to have to do that. But I think that we need to have some consideration in it. I think we need some guidance on it. I think we need some medical direction on it. And I think that we need some protocols in place. And just saying, just because somebody was exposed and they automatically have to be tested, That's not correct.
You don't do it the first day for sure.
And so I think we need some protocols and things like that. And like I said, I'm a rule follower, and if they say we need to have a testing contract in place with someone to provide testing, I'm gonna do what they say. You know, I'm tired of wearing a mask. I've been vaccinated, but I'm wearing a mask because it's the right thing to do. So if this is what they want and this is the right thing to do, I'm a rule follower, I'm gonna be for it. But I know that our teachers, our principals, our staff are exhausted because they're having to take care of medical situations at school instead of focusing on why the kids are there, and that is for them to teach and the children to learn.
Right.
And I think this is another layer in that.
Is there a possibility of adding more medical staff, such as nurses or nurse assistants, to help?
Well, they're going to provide a collector. They're going to provide someone at the schools to help collect because they're making big money off
I'm
this.
sure.
So
Oh,
that's
they
why
do.
they're able
They
to
do
provide a
this.
person to collect.
Would that be
So
one person for each school or just one person period?
I'm
for the
sure
district?
they'll put someone in each school.
I'm not for sure.
Yeah.
We would have
So that would be
to-
spreading them thin.
Once we try to enter into a contract with
Yeah.
them, I think the next step would be to get somebody from Gravity in here, if this is the company you want to pursue. And here, I'm not just saying because y'all say, let's pursue this, that doesn't mean we're signing the contract with them.
Yeah.
If we come in and
This
talk to
is
them,
a state-approved lab.
Uh-huh.
And so now the state is saying you have to have something in place. This is the company that's approved. That's why the health department has it. And we use this company, but we use it through the health department. They do not provide a collector at the health department. They do not provide a collector at any of the clinics here in town. But that is the state-approved lab. And I you know, I want to do what's right for kids. And if that's what we need to do, but I think that there needs to be some consideration in it. We need some protocols to follow. We need some medical direction on it. Dr. Ong is still our medical director for school. Is that correct? So
She is.
I feel like we need some medical direction on it. And you all may have some comments. I don't want to take all the
No,
time.
that's why I asked you, because
Yeah.
You're the one
agree with you.
Yeah.
I mean,
But I mean,
We're just
I'm
laymen.
for it if it's doing it the right way and the right thing, but I know our staff is overwhelmed too.
And I agree. I think that for them to test to stay, testing them day one after contact is not what the CDC recommends, but now that's what these test to stay programs are. They test them for 5 straight days.
And they could develop it on the 6th
They
or
developed
7th.
it on day 6, there you are.
That's correct.
So, I mean, again, they're saying a lot of kids are not impacted, that's true. You know, but it only takes one. You had a 15-year-old student in Shelby County die day before last. It only takes one. We don't want the first one. So, I
We
don't know
don't,
what the
we don't
guidelines
want the
are.
first one,
No.
Mr. Saylor, but I can assure you that people are out everywhere. And people are out everywhere not wearing a mask.
Oh, yeah.
And people are out everywhere socializing, and I mean, I can tell you that people are out doing everything. So,
And we've got kids quarantined from school, but they're not quarantined at home. We've got students that've been placed in quarantine and families having parties at home. You know, for birthday parties and stuff, and the kids are quarantined. So I know they're not following the rules. I hate to say it, everybody's got some people that's taking their kids out of school because they're scared. Believe me, the safest place we've got school. That's where they are wearing.
because we're trying to follow the
And
rules.
we're trying to follow the rules. The school is the safest place they've got in many cases. So, I do think we need to try to enter into a contract. If you all will give me the ability to pursue this, I'll put Erica on it first thing in the morning. If they meet our specifications and what we believe that needs to happen.
And you all know this is cost neutral to us. This does not cost us
Right,
anything, nor
right.
will it cost the student anything. We don't make money off of it. We don't pay money for it. The only money that we're paying is for our staff to do the work, correct?
Yeah. We're just adding duties to our nurses.
We're adding duties to our staff.
What's all the, give them what?
But I do think we need to be ready to go based on what that says that we have to have in place in the next 10 days. So I guess my motion, our recommended motion would be that you would give me the authority upon meeting the conditions of the legislation that was just passed by the General Assembly, and our concerns are addressed, then that we would sign a contract with Gravity. If that's not the group, I'll come back on the 23rd and we'll look at another company. Is that okay?
With me. Like I said, I think we need to use the one that health
We need
department
to use
using.
whatever they're using, so that we,
Because we're meeting in the morning. We've got a meeting scheduled in the morning, 9 o'clock, because we anticipated this would pass this afternoon.
Well, there's no way out of it.
No.
I mean,
No.
there's no way out of it, so.
regardless.
Even if they tell us we got to test on day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's no way out
Yeah.
of it. That's the reg on a test to stay program.
Right.
If that's what the reg is, that's what we'll have to do.
follow.
Although it's a colossal waste of money.
In the legislature, they didn't give individual districts the ability to opt out of it.
No. They have dumped it squarely in the laps of school boards and superintendents and school districts.
That you said we couldn't opt out of it, that we have to do it.
This here, we could not offer, I don't know that we have to offer a test to stay program. I've not seen the final legislation, but that was what was indicated. But I'm just gonna tell you this, the biggest uproar in our community is kids on quarantine that can't come to school, that want to come to school but can't come to school because they're in quarantine. So if we have the ability,
But you think they're gonna let somebody put a swab up their nose 5 days in a row?
some of them will,
Some of them may.
some of them will. There are gonna be others that choose quarantine, but at least they can't point the finger.
Yeah, that's
If you
right.
want to stay, here's the option. You got to test 5 days in a row. It's not on us. at
If
that
that's
point.
what the guidelines say.
If that's what the guideline says.
But we're rule followers, and if that's what they tell us that we need to do.
So with that, again, you would give me the authority to sign a contract with Gravity if conditions are met. If not, I'm coming back the 23rd. And we'll ask about some other company. We'll deal with that. I think we can work something out with Gravity and go from there.
The other option with that company is that they do all the testing. So, and don't put it on your nurses. I mean, that's another option. You tell them, if you want to test at our school, then I need a tester for every school, or at least a couple of them.
That
And
would
my
be great.
nurses don't
That'd
have to
fix
do
it.
it because they have too many things to do.
That takes some
I will tell you
Pressure.
this, I know the school district next door that has already signed a contract with one of these companies, and the superintendent is giving the test of the mornings. They're not providing people to do that. I'm not saying they won't. Now, they said they would provide somebody to do drive-by testing and some things like that, but drive-by testing doesn't help our students that are in school. They're gonna have to be tested when they get
Get
there.
there.
Now, they might. I don't know. Again, what are they required to do under the law, Donna, will be what we can require, ask for.
We need that clarification on the law, what it actually states.
Hopefully, we can read it and get it clarified, and that's what we hope to do. But for the sake of moving on right now, if Gravity can meet the conditions that we set forth and the law sets forth, you all want to, the motion would be to approve Gravity. If they don't, we'll do some exploring, and I'll bring something back on the 23rd.
So do we have a motion to approve for Mr. Saylor to approve a contract with Gravity?
Or other options.
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
Tammy Hardy makes a motion. Do we have a second?
this again.
So does everybody want more information? Is that what you're thinking? You want to know what the law says? You want to see what the contract says? You want to see what they're willing to offer? Is that what you're saying, that we need to table this?
I will make one warning. There's 171 school districts in the state of
Big push
Kentucky.
come first served.
If we wait, and we wait, and we wait, and we don't hit this running, and it's the 23rd before, that's 2 weeks from now, we may not be able to find a company at that point in time. I'm just saying. I don't know. I don't know how many companies there are. I've not looked at the total list. But Gravity at some point in time is going to have to say, we've got all we can handle.
Because on here when I'm reading, so like on-site personnel, so the way I'm reading this, they're not gonna bring anybody test, it would be Erica or the other nurses.
That's the way it is in the school districts right now that are doing it. It's on.
But you're saying that they told you that they would provide a specimen collector.
They would do a drive-through clinic before. That's
But
what
that
they
would
said.
only be a one-day clinic or something
That
like
may be
that.
one day, for
Yeah.
total community or parents of students or whatever. Because we talked about they could do it right here.
Yeah.
They could drive through, do it right here on the side of the building. Health department said they could drive through at their place. I think they'll do that. Now,
Yeah.
are they gonna have somebody sitting in our buildings at 8 o'clock in the morning?
Every day.
I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't think you're gonna find a company that's going to. That's just me.
That's what it should be, but that's beside the point.
Their contract basically with the state is to supply the tests and to supply the tests. And believe me, that they're getting paid well to supply the tests. So,
I think it's about $95 a test.
I mean, we can wait till the 23rd and roll the dice, but at some point in time, if Gravity hooks up with 15, 20 other school districts, they may say, we've got all we can handle.
And they are the company that the health department uses.
That's who the health department's using right now. And I promise you, if they will not meet our conditions, that's what we won't sign. Matter of fact, I will run anything by the chair and vice chair. We need to come back earlier. Of course, the earliest I can come back on a special call meeting would be the 19th, or the 20th.
So do you all want to make a motion to, we've had a first motion by Tammy. Do you all want to continue, or do you all want to table this until you have further? Do I have a second on this?
I'll make a second.
Okay.
We need to be first in line.
So we have a second. I'd like to call for a vote at this time. All in favor? Motion carries.
Is that 4-0?
Yeah, 4-0.
Okay.
Do we have any further discussion about that?
And I'm sorry, guys, I can't give you more detail because honestly, I don't know.
We need a rep to come talk to us. That's what we need. You're not gonna get that, but that's what we need.
I'm sure after our meeting in the morning, Erica, this will be Erica's day tomorrow. She may be listening right now. She needs to know her day tomorrow.
Bless your heart.
I'm sorry.
And I can tell you that it's a whole lot of work.
Yes.
It's a whole lot of work. So,
We've been on the
It's just like you said before, if they're gonna make us do it, we're gonna have to do it, so.
Well, I think it's going to be an option to school districts to do it. I don't know if the bill says it's required. My understanding was today they was going to require you to have a test to stay program. Now, if that's how it ended up final, like I said, I've not been able to see it yet. So, I'll keep you all updated the best I can. Erica, I will try to keep you updated on what we find out. But thank you all for that, and like I said, we won't move forward with them unless we feel that that's who we need to be with, okay?
All right, so we're moving right along. We need to talk about and review the staff parent survey results and consider approval of the FY22 calendar with revisions.
We did survey staff and community, and we asked them 5 questions. And Jeremy, I don't know if you want to pull those up real quick, the staff survey, if you want to pull it up first. Staff survey was asked, and let me say real quick, I know we didn't want to be here all night, but sometimes things just happen. Based on what was going in today to the legislative session, we still only have 10 NTI days. There's only 10 days that we can call off school for the entire district, and we get to use remote instruction. None of those things change. Again, parents that want their kids on remote instruction, there's no such thing as remote instruction. We're not allowed to do it. So all those things still taking place. So as of right now, we've got 10 NTI days. We've got 5 basically staff work days that we know that we have. So we've got 15 days that we can make up school. So we said, okay, do we need to make adjustments to the calendar? There was 2 options I felt that was viable. One was reduce fall break to 2 days. It pretty much passed with an overwhelming majority. The other one was reduce spring break to 3 days. Or reduce spring break to 2 days. The others definitely do not want to reduce Christmas break. Everybody wants Christmas break to stay 2 weeks. They would rather not see spring break totally eliminated, although we've not had a spring break or much of one for the last 3 years because of weather. And nobody wants to add them on at the end. So the bottom line is you got to do one of the 2. So if you look at the community survey, you can see it pretty much, parents and community pretty much agreed. If you're going to do something, take 3 days of fall break, take 3 days of spring break, do not mess with Christmas break. Try to give us a couple days for spring break if at all possible, but let's not go to school to the middle of June. So, very simple, guys. We're within 4 weeks of spring break. Donna said it earlier. All of you all echoed this tonight. Our staff right now is having to not only teach school, but they're also having to do all these extra things. I think it would be an absolute slap in their face if we try to reduce fall break. I just do. We could reduce it. A majority said to do that, but I swear I just don't know how that would go over from a mental standpoint.
You're gonna have if you take the fall, you do whole fall break, just go ahead and have it. You have the weekends. That makes 9 whole days.
It may get rid of some of this COVID surge. It may help all that stuff. So I think right now, and just from a staff morale standpoint, and from parents and kids, they need a week.
Well, physical and mental health.
Even though they told us that, yeah, go ahead and take 3 days, I don't think that's the best thing. My recommendation would not be to do that. I do think we need to go ahead and tell them, though, that we're going to reduce spring break to 2 days. Right now, we know that gives us 3 days. If we get into a bad winter, we can always take the other 2 days, and I would tell everybody right now, don't bank on 2 days for spring break. And if things get bad, the legislature goes back into session January the 15th, and maybe at that time they'll give us some more days then. But I can tell you right now, they're not giving us days. And I hate to say it, guys, but I'll just be honest, and I think if your legislators are sitting here, either one of them, your representative or your senator, because of a couple of larger school districts, they felt like that abused days last year, they're not going to budge on additional NTI days right now. That's just a simple fact. Simple fact, there's no other way to say it. So The only adjustment that I would ask you to do, my recommendation is that we reduce spring break to 2 days right now. And we don't have to do anything else right now. Leave fall break alone, leave Christmas break alone, but let staff know now, don't plan spring break. We're gonna try to give you 2 days. If the weather's bad and the legislature gives us no days during the spring session, we could very well lose the other 2. That gives us 18 makeup days. Hopefully on 18 days, we can make it. We're scheduled to be out, Jeremy, go to the calendar, I believe it's like the 10th. We're scheduled to be out, if you can scroll down. We're scheduled to be out, closing day is on the 16th. I think the 13th is the last day of school. So with that being said, I think that right now, that would be my recommendation. To take 3 days of spring break to give us those 3 additional days, just in case we do need them if there is a uptick or a greater surge and we have to use NTI days. So that's my recommended motion, guys.
So Mr. Saylor has made a recommendation to keep fall break and make the approved changes to the FY22 calendar as we discussed. Do I have a motion?
I make the motion.
I have Shayla with a motion and I have Carrie with a second. All in favor? Any opposed? I think keeping fall break is in the best interest and the health of everyone, our teachers, our students, our staff.
Our
and
community.
I appreciate the board standing strong on that and agreeing that our teachers need a mental, and when I say teachers, I mean all of our school employees need a mental health day, week. And so I stand strong that they need that.
And I will be here during that week, because actually I'm taking fall break at a different time, but I will be here during that time.
Okay, so we're down to our superintendent board forum. We have no action items. Do you have anything to
No,
update
just
us
the
on?
update on the special session. I did put out there what they thought was going to pass. I'll go back tonight and make sure that that's exactly what passed, but that's what some of my recommendations was based on tonight, was that information. So I don't think, there should have been a floor amendment. I have no idea, but I'll check it out. I'll know something. If there's changes from that, I'll let you know. Also, if you all ever get an email about an open records request, I know that Donna did receive it as the board chair. I don't know, did all of you?
Yes.
receive
Yes,
it?
we did.
I thought it was on there for all of you all. You all never respond to that. I am the custodial keeper of the records, and that is up to me to respond to. Now, I did respond to the request that we got today, and I did CC the board chair with that. You all are more than welcome to that information. She can share it with you, but always, if anybody comes to you with that information, again, we talked about the roles and responsibilities of school board members and what they're at. You'll have people at times press you for information, and there's nothing wrong. Send those questions to me, ask me those questions. If there's questions about a hiring or hiring process, that is always within purview. You all set the policies and procedures. You don't have anything to do with the hiring itself, or you don't have anything to do with the interview process or anything, but you do set the procedures and policies for hiring in the district. So I just wanted to share that with you. That came from Jonathan, and he asked me to share that with you all. Other than that, this is a special called meeting, so there can't be anything added to the agenda. I don't know if you all got any comments. You can make comments, but there's nothing left action-wise.
Does anybody have anything for discussion? Well, I just had a couple of things just to bring up is I'm so proud of our kids in school and just the perseverance that they have. Our sports teams have been playing soccer, volleyball. We've had several different sports and they've been doing really well. I know our band has been practicing, and you all may have some more insight to some of that, but I know our kids are so excited, and they've been enjoying practice, enjoying getting back into some sense of normalcy, and I'm so proud of our kids.
See, for some reason, I'm thinking the band might have their first thing this
They
weekend.
do
They do in
that.
Bourbon County.
Okay, I was gonna say, that's what I thought I'd read.
First one in,
Yeah.
what,
2 years. Yeah. So we have our band, our soccer, we have volleyball. Do you guys have any other sports that you're aware of? I know football has been playing, but middle school games, we've been having
Golf.
high school games, our golf team,
cross-country team for the first time in several years.
cross country, and we have some really fast runners.
Yes, we do.
So I don't want to leave anyone out. If you all think of someone I'm leaving out, but just I'm so excited to see their pictures on Facebook, and just the kids seem like they're really, really having fun, and that's what it's all about.
And you know, we've not had one student complain about mask wearing.
No, the kids are going
We've
to
not had
complain, it's
one
gonna be the
student
parents. The
complain
parents.
about policies or procedures. I'm sure they feel burdened down sometimes, but you know, they're just going on about their day. They know that it's what needs to be done, and I appreciate them for that. There's been no trouble whatsoever out of one single student in any of our buildings. They've all been very polite, they've done what they've needed to do, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate the support. We've got overwhelming support out here in this community as well. It only takes a couple of people to cause issues, but we've got overwhelming support, and it's okay. I appreciate the gentleman that came to the last board meeting, very polite, very mannerly. He spoke what he felt like was his piece. There is absolutely nothing wrong with it. And I appreciate everybody. It's been really good, and that's a good point. I'm glad that you said that. And I know a lot of people, they're excited about this high school project, and baseball, softball work that's being done, and the pedway, so that's good as well.
And then I just had another comment that the health department and the nurses were on site at our schools yesterday, and we had another student vaccine day, and it was very successful, and a lot of the students shared with me that they were trying to be an example for other people in the community, and part of it was that they want to be in school. They want to be in school, they want to have a normal life, and they're willing to do whatever it takes. So kudos to our kids.
Once again, it's a team effort.
It's a team effort.
And so you all will know, there is another vaccination clinic at the high school on September 30th for unvaccinated students. That information will be going out. There's a community-wide vaccination clinic on October 1st at Markham Wallace Hospital. So that information's going out as well. And then on October, the very following Thursday, what is that, October, I don't have my calendar in front of me, but maybe it's October 7th?
I think it's the 7th.
October 7th, there is a vaccination clinic at the middle school. And we're going to have community partners. We're going to give T-shirts to all of our kids that's already been vaccinated. Because we're not just going to give T-shirts to new kids coming on.
No.
We need to take care of those that's already done it as well. So we're going to be designing a T-shirt. Our high school, middle school students, hopefully they're going to design a T-shirt. They're going to be given T-shirts the day of those clinics, those that's been vaccinated, those that get vaccinated that day. Community partners, there's going to be drawings for gift cards and prizes and free meals, and so it's an incentive program to try to get more people vaccinated. So we're even going to give out T-shirts on the community-wide day as well at the hospital. And the whole goal is here is to get as many people vaccinated as we can, because even if there is a breakthrough, we're seeing that breakthrough infections do not have the same impact as somebody that's unvaccinated. So I just think that is the only way we're going to move forward, and we're going to keep hammering to try to get as many people as we can vaccinated.
It's our ticket out.
It is.
And then the last comment that I had is I know you mentioned the pedway and that you'd had a lot of positive comments regarding the pedway. I've seen quite a bit of students the last little bit, and every student that I've talked to that attends the VOTEC Center is beyond excited. They are smiling, they love it, it's the best thing that's ever happened to them, and they can't wait to go to school. So that VOTEC Center is a shining star.
Well, I've
for
heard
our
that from the
district.
Powell County side.
So they are so
That the kids are coming
excited,
over,
and I
yes.
just wanted to say thank you to our community, thank you for everybody that worked so hard to make that dream a reality, and our kids are just on top of the world, excited about it.
Fantastic.
And that's all I have.
Are we going to offer a booster event for our staff?
Well, it's not approved yet,
I know, but if it does,
but I'm sure we will.
We will try to line something up, and my thought is if the booster becomes available, is that we need to try to work it out to where we can do it on a Friday, just so that they can get their boosters shot, and that way they've got the weekend.
for the,
Early indications are there are a few individuals that's able to get their boosters right now, and
yeah, autoimmune.
there's not been really that big an issue, but you don't want somebody, you know, having to come work the next day.
No.
They do have,
Okay,
you know, general side effects of what you have with any other side of the shot in that case.
someone asked me that.
As soon as they offer the booster, yes, I'm sure the health department, guys, I'm telling you, our health department, I know they get a lot of criticism, but they're just trying to do the best they can with what they've been handed. And they're short-staffed as well, aren't we all? They're short-staffed as well, so they will be here with bells on, I believe, when it comes time for that booster shot.
We have a good relationship with so many different community partners, so they're all just stepping up.
Part of the Estill team.
It's part of the Estill team.
Carrie, Tammy, you all have anything?
I don't know if anybody had an opportunity to watch the Carhart video that William Hardy narrated. So there was a team here that did a 2-day filming event at Carhart, and it really made Irvine shine. And that Carhart factory was shining bright. And so it was a great positive thing. Did you see it?
I did see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Debated about putting it out on our social media,
Yeah.
but we may very well want to do that.
Teresa did it already.
Teresa put it out? Good deal.
I put it on my Facebook page and some of the
I think that's it. So do we need a call for a close of the meeting? Shayla makes a motion. We have a second. Carrie Smallwood, all in favor?
Thank you all. Jeremy?
See you all next time.
Jeremy's all